Look at that view. Arkansas is so pretty this time of year. Hello everyone, this is Basil the Ortho Biker coming at you today. I just got off work, so I thought I'd go ahead and record a video for y'all. What I want to talk about today is modifications I've done to my Sportster. Some of you have messaged me about them, I guess seeing some of my pictures on Instagram and so forth. So I'm going to talk to you today about the modifications I've done to my bike, kind of why I did them, and talk about ideas for the future. So as any fan of the Sportster knows, the Sportster is a modder's dream. You can pretty much make the Sportster into anything you want, turn the Sportster into anything you can dream up, and the aftermarket for this bike is just superb. The Sportster truly is a blank canvas where anyone can fulfill the imagination they have for their bike. And I would say that a truly rare thing is a stock Sportster. If someone has owned a Sportster for more than 6 months and it's still in stock form, take a picture of it. That is a rare thing indeed. But I'm going to talk about the first 2 modifications I did, and then just kind of go over what's on the bike, going from front to back. I tried to do this video once before, but I learned 2 very important lessons. Don't start so late in the day, because once the sun starts to set, the GoPro doesn't really capture low light, especially when you forget you have an ND filter on. Also, when I try to talk about my modifications in some kind of chronological order, but that did not work out so well. Ah, bug just smacked me in the head. Anyway, so I would say the first 2 most important mods are the points of contact of you to the motorcycle. Because what's the point of riding a motorcycle if you're not comfortable at doing it, and if the bike's uncomfortable, you're not going to want to ride it. So the first mod I got was a Mustang Solo seat, which was head and shoulders above the stock seat, but nowhere near the Mustang Solo Tripper I had in my last bike in terms of comfort. The seat I got after that, the Harley Davidson Sundowner seat, I would say is probably better suited for longer rides and comfort, whereas the Solo Tripper is better for local travels, maybe an hour ride at most, no more than that. Because I had that seat when I took my trip to Houston. Man, you want to talk about tailbone pain? Nice looking seat, but not good for long rides. We'll take a detour with a bridge. Whee! I would say after the seat I got the Roland Sands grips, foot pegs, and toe shifter. Not only do they look great, they provide excellent grip. They're kind of a knurled rubber finish with brass tips on it. Kind of give it a slightly leaning towards a steampunk look. Anything in brass finish for this bike, I will get it. And I would say after the points of contact usability, Sissy Bar for this bike is so usable for luggage purposes. I got a Sissy Bar, had Dave at Flippin' Choppers, so a little bit on the back, so my roll bag would fit in the back, my Sissy Bar bag would fit in the front, and this thing is great for long trips, grocery shopping, and anything else in day-to-day use. So working from the front of the bike to the back, I would say the headlight was probably one of the next things to get changed out. The halogen bulbs on this bike suck. So I got some $20, $30 LED lights from Amazon, and they work great. You don't need to spend $300. You don't need to spend $300 on a Daymaker bulb when just any LED light from Amazon will work. Some are better than others, but this one is head and shoulders above the halogen light, and it does the job just fine. Working back from the light, we've got the handlebars. Ugh. Railroad tracks. Not only does it improve the comfort, but improves the look of the bike too. Gives it kind of a chopper look, but not really. 8-inch mini 8s. I've got 2-inch risers under this, giving me probably a total of a 10-inch rise. Maybe just a little bit below shoulder level for me. I'm not a big person, so it's not hard to do. But these mini 8s made the ride to Houston so much more comfortable than the I wouldn't say they're tracker bars, but they're pretty close. I don't like the lean forward aggressive look because my back can't handle it. I'm 40, my back don't like it. I also flip the mirrors. I think that's pretty common as far as a Sportster look. They're usable. In fact, I think they're more usable down here than up high in their regular position, because all I could see up here was shoulder, and that's not very good for me. Alright, moving back from the handlebars, we got the tank lift and wire tuck. You know, a lot of people question the tank lift and wire tuck, and I kind of did too at first, but after having done it, it opened up the engine space beneath the bike. It also made the handlebar install so much easier, because freeing up the wire harness from the ABS or plastic that was under the fuel tank freed up so much wire, gave us so much slack that a wire extension was not needed. So it's something to think about in the future if you're actually going to do a wire tuck and so forth. I also moved my coil and ignition to the left-hand side because I'm just used to it being over there. My first bike, it was on the left-hand side, and having to lean over to the right side of the tank. Ooh, first gear, I'm in second. There we go. Having to lean over to the right side of the tank to put my key in and fumble around for the ignition because I couldn't feel it, that just wasn't working out so well. So I moved the coil and ignition to the left-hand side, and the tank lift, the coil and ignition relocation, as well as the wire tuck, I got everything on one kit from DK Customs, which helped make the install so much easier. Also from DK Customs came this air cleaner here. Now, it looks cool, I like it, but the immediate benefit of that air cleaner once installed is the throttle response from this bike got so much more responsive. I mean, it wasn't an increase in power or anything. I mean, there might have been, but I don't have a dyno to really tell before and after. All I know is when you turn the throttle, it went. The bike was kind of muted before, and that air cleaner kind of woke it up. And I think that's probably the first performance mod anybody should do to this bike. The second performance mod I did was the Reinhardt slip-ons. Now I know slip-ons don't add a whole lot of performance, if any, to a bike, but it's got to add a little bit because you're pulling off a lot of weight. If I remember correctly, the cat for the Sportster mufflers, at least on this particular year, like the Rebel, are built into the muffler. So you're decatting the bike, you're removing a lot of that extra weight, and you are opening up the airflow a little bit as the hot air exits the bike. I also added the DK Customs Thunder Torque inserts to the slip-ons, mainly because the exhaust cap fell off at one point, so I took the other one off just to make it match. And I noticed a drop in low-end torque. Like first and second gear, the torque seemed to get weaker, seemed to dissolve a little bit. But when I put these Thunder Torque inserts in, that torque came back, and maybe just a little bit more. And plus, it helped with the sound of the bike a lot. Bike sounds the way I think it should now. I love autumn. The leaves have not started to change colors yet. I mean, they just barely started to change. But pretty soon all these trees will start turning beautiful golds and reds. And that's when the Ozarks get really pretty. So I think I've about covered the mods I have done to my bike so far. Now I did put a Power Vision tuner on it, and after the tune, this bike runs so much better than it did when I first bought it. I think the bike runs right now the way I feel it should have run from the factory, but you know, we all know how the EPA is, and the EPA, you know, does their fair share of ruining bike performance out of the factory. And Harley Davidson solutions for some of those EPA requirements required modifications like a catch can, so I didn't have a breather bolt spitting oil onto my khakis when I get off work and decide to go for a ride after work. I think we'll go ahead and go the long and twisty way back. Now, as far as the modifications I want to do to this bike, I'll go back and work my way forward. I really would like some progressive 412s. The suspension on the Sportster is notoriously horrible. That's like, what, a 3.2 or 2.2? I don't know. It's a very, very short travel suspension. So on longer rides, which I tend to do frequently, if you tend to hit a lot of heavy bumps, which the roads around here are not too bad, when you get a place like Texas, dear Lord, you need the suspension. So it'll lift the bike up some, and I guess an added secondary benefit is this, is the increased suspension will also give me a little more lean angle, or at least that's the hope anyways. A little late. I'm not gonna gun it. So the 412 suspension. I would like to get a Freedom Performance full-length exhaust for this bike. I mean, not only because I think it looks cool, but I don't. I'm twisted and torn between a full-length exhaust or a 2-in-1. And the reason why I'm even considering a 2-in-1, because another modification, and this is like one of the final modifications when this bike finally takes its final form, and that's a 1275 kit from Hammer Performance. They cost what, $700-800. The chopper shop here quoted me a $500 install cost, somewhere around $500. Might be a little less, might be a little more, I don't know. But if I go all that, I'd probably want to get cams. And in addition to cams, I'm going to want a 2-in-1 exhaust. And I think the combination of those things will turn this bike into a little beast, especially when I start stripping parts off, like the belt guard and other things to make this bike just a little bit lighter, giving it just a little bit more of an edge with the horsepower that gets added to it. But like I said, that's like years down the road. That's a last modification kind of thing. I also would like to get some smoke lenses for my turn signals and indicators, and get the colored LED lights that go under them to kind of make all the lights on the bike LED and kind of round out that blacked out bike look that I like so much. Oh, I did forget to mention, I put white wall tires on this bike and it makes it look sweet. I think white wall tires are almost a necessity on a blacked out bike. There's just something about a black bike with white wall tires that just makes it pop. Yes, they are a pain in the butt to clean, but I don't care. Now eventually I will get a windscreen to put up here for longer trips in the winter, or just regular day-to-day driving in the winter, because I am a year-round rider. I don't have a riding season. The only thing that keeps me from riding is snow on the ground or salt on the road to keep the snow from sticking, or ice or anything like that. But I've been watching Joe, the great E-Rent. He's got some suggestions for a windscreen for this bike that I'll probably follow him up on. And I think it's called a Memphis Shades Del Rey, I believe. I'm not 100% certain, but I believe that's what it's called. And lastly, well, not lastly, but I also want to get some new bags, like a new fork bag. Just Amazon special in the front, starting to crumple and look like crap. I also want to replace the saddleman on the back of the bike, because also crumpling and looking like crap. I know it's a vain thing, but motorcycles are as much aesthetics as they are performance and the thrill to ride. For me, it's a day-to-day thing. I ride it every day, so I want it to at least look nice. Not that that's overly important, but we all know it is. Our bike is an extension of ourselves, which is also what makes the Sportster such a fantastic bike. A great outlet for someone to express themselves through their motorcycle, to create a machine they want to ride day to day. But anyways, I think that's the gist of all the modifications I've done to this bike, and what I would like to do to the bike in the future. I'd be interested to hear how you guys that have Sportsters have modified your bike. What other modifications would you think be good for this bike? What would you do differently? But as always, if you like what you hear, like what you see, and want to hear more, want to keep the conversation going down the road, make sure to like, subscribe, and share, and hit the bell icon in the lower right hand corner so you get notifications of any videos that are released down the road. And as always, keep the T-wheels on the ground, shiny side up, ride safe, and God bless. Peace out. Why do you keep hitting your brake lights? You're in a sports car. Go. Be free.